to Northern Lights. Today we're going to do our 269 recap.
Yeah, well, I thought that was probably one of the best cards this year.
Yeah.
Completely. Right from the main event, you had Dustin Poirier v Charles Oliveira for the lightweight championship, and Charles Oliveira got the submission win by rear naked choke. And if I do remember rightly, Dwayne, for once I was actually right.
You might have been. I'll have to watch it back.
No, I do remember I was actually right with a rear naked choke. And I do remember you saying arm by yourself.
Yeah, I think I said
got it done in round 3.
Yeah.
Now, the first round, it was so open. Yeah, I thought one of them were going to drop straight away.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did. Like, just off memory, I've only seen it once, but I think Charles actually did a couple of times, didn't he?
Yeah, Charles definitely dropped. I think at least twice. It looked to me because I went in thinking, yeah, Oliveira's got this. He's just too big. He's too complicated. And Dustin just started banging him out. I thought he's going to finish him in, round 1. I thought he's not going to get out of round 2 at this rate. But I think Charles stepped it up in round 2, because Dustin just stands and bang. Then he just thought, right, I'm going to knock him out. The trouble is, Charles is a much more complex fighter than that. He's not just going to stand there. He's tall. He can move around. He can fight on the outside. Because he's a couple of inches taller as well, isn't he? If he just used that front leg kick, kept him away.
Oh, that was a sweet spot for him because he was near as well in the stomach and everything. And you had Rogan and DC in the second round when Dustin pulled guard. They thought something was wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's easy for when people say. I think it was one of the commentators. I can't remember which one it was. Where they're saying, "Why isn't he putting his feet on his hips and trying to get off?" And you're like, "Well, it might be kind of hard when he's getting elbowed in the face as well." And his neck's just getting lent on. But to be honest, I was thinking he's built his way up to get a championship fight against Khabib, got choked out, and he built all his way up again. He made his money off Conor McGregor twice this year and a war with Dan Hooker last year, all this kind of stuff. And you feel bad for him. I do. Anyway, I don't know whether it's just because he's such a nice, you love to like him, if that makes sense.
I don't. I think he's a knob. But
all right, well, okay, yeah, not a Dustin fan then. But no. Charles got it done. And to be honest, personally, I'd love to see him and Gaethje, or maybe even one day him and Islam Makhachev. But that's maybe for a future fight. The second, the co-main event, Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes. Now, Juliana managed to get the submission win in the second round, and I was shocked through the main event. To be fair, I was still thinking about that because how often have you seen someone a massive underdog like that and she gets it done? And I wouldn't say it was decisive, but towards the middle of the second round when it started to go downhill for Amanda, Juliana was landing some strikes and then eventually just got her down and submitted her rear neck and choked her.
Because in the opening round, Nunes dominated the fight. Pena looked terrified. She actually looked scared. She was on the floor. She was kicking her legs out. And she looked terrified. I thought, oh, she's going to get destroyed coming into this second round. Yeah. But she nearly got that Kimura in as well. I was like, oh, okay. Pena nearly got Kimura in. So you think, oh, she's dangerous on the ground. And then when they got back up and started the second round, and Pena just kept hitting those jabs constantly, and I thought,
oh, that was there all day for her. She couldn't miss that.
Nunes just kept walking into it. Do you think it was a case of Nunes thought, this isn't hurting me? I can walk through this. I'm a machine. This is not a problem for me. And then it just wore her down. I don't know what happened.
Well, to be honest, if my memory serves me all right, I'm trying to think of Nunes' previous fights. I know it was Megan Anderson, the last one, where she looked like a deer in the headlights. But you look back at Nunes in very recent years. I wouldn't say people like Cyborg and people who were going to come forward, but it's as if like especially Megan, it's like they're waiting for Nunes just to strike. But with Pena, she didn't. She was throwing him as well, if that makes sense to say. So it's almost like, I'm not saying Nunes has never been tagged, but it's like this aura of invincibility has gone. Do you remember when Dustin fought Conor for the second time, and he said afterwards, he says, the first time I was a little starstruck, but the second time it was just a man in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, we all bleed, sort of thing. I mean, I can't, obviously. Juliana's probably just saying, no, I just trained really hard. And, you know, I know that I'm the best in the world, and that's what I did. I went out and proved it. But that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. And she came into it really confident, didn't she, as well, you know? She made it clear. She said, no, I've got everything for her. And she was right. She outstriked her, out-wrestled her. It literally shocked me. I was like, oh, my God.
Well, how many times have you seen it where it's a Nunes or Valentina fight, and the opponent always says, well, they've never fought anyone like me before. And you see, yeah, they all say that until they're sat, you know, looking up.
Every time.
But I thought at the end, I was real happy for Juliana, because I almost compared it in my mind to, do you remember when Glover beat Jan at 267 and he got the light heavyweight, and everyone was really happy for him. There was DC saying he actually did it. I can't believe it. And it's, you know, like he's 42 or whatever he is, and it's like it shouldn't have happened. You know,
yeah,
100%. It's because Juliana, you know, she was that much of a massive underdog, and she comes out, she dominates. Well, ends up getting a decisive win, and there's like, I told you so. You know,
yeah.
like, and I compared it to that. I was just so happy for her, and she was so happy at the end. And you know, you almost, it's good to see. Everyone loves an underdog. It's just a good story to see, isn't it?
100%. And it shocked me how quick Nunes tapped. She barely got the choke in, and Pena afterwards, she didn't even realize she'd won the fight.
I've seen that.
She thought the time when she tapped.
I've seen that, yeah, because she said, oh, I wish I knew how long was left in the round. And so she got up, and someone came over, and she says, oh, is that it? And she's like, no, congratulations, you've won. She's like, what? She's just done it. But again, that's like a bit, I might be trying to link it a bit too much, but that's a bit like Glover with Jan. He put the choke on for like a second or two, and that's him tapped. So it's a similar sort of thing, and like another dog story. I'm linking the two when they probably shouldn't be linked, but you get what I mean.
Just because it is a good link. You know, makes sense.
Then there was O'Malley and Paiva. Sean O'Malley and Paiva. Sean managed to get the first round knockout again.
Yeah.
In another almost flawless performance, even though he had a busted rib, as he was saying.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I was a bit concerned for O'Malley, because I knew Pedro wasn't the best fighter, but I thought, you know, he's not, you know, he's a tough guy. He's had like, what, 25 fights? You know, he's had a fair few. He knows his way around. I thought, we haven't seen O'Malley tested on the ground, you know, and all the Brazilian guys always bang on about their jiu-jitsu, don't they? So, you know, you think, okay, maybe he's really good. But Sean just got a clinical, didn't he? Just knocked him out very, very comfortably, very easily as well, you know.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, Sean's in the post-fight press conference. I'd seen this, and Sean was saying, "Look, a lot of these people are in the." What I took from this is because he'd said a lot of these people are in the fight game. I'm in the fight business, and like he was saying all this week, he says, "Name someone else who isn't in the top 15 who's a millionaire." You know, he's fighting these people who are lesser known, making money. Like Dana said, you know, he wants paying, and he's making a lot of money, but it's still not necessarily for me, because I think he's really good, and I think you could actually throw him in with definitely some top tens. But it's still people are still going to have that question of what's going to happen when he actually fights someone what people would call decent.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't think that's going to get answered until he either beats Chito Vera in a rematch, or if he goes for someone else and he ends up coming into, you know, the top 10.
Yeah. That's the problem, isn't it? When you talk about O'Malley's fights, you don't talk about his fight, you talk about his next fight. Because they're so quick, they're so decisive. What is there to talk about? You know, he's in his fights, he's doing really well, you know, and it's interesting where he's going to head next. It feels like he's either going to fight Cody or Cheeto. I think those are his two options. But the trouble is, if he defeats Cody, you know, we'll get onto that in a minute. But you know, it's a bit problematic, isn't it? He's still going to be proving himself, you know.
Well, that's the thing of, because all these people, I won't describe them as what a lot of people do, but all these lesser known people, should I say, that Sean O'Malley's fighting, they all obviously want to be known as the person who beats Sean O'Malley. So they're going to take the fight believing that they can etch their name. They're the person to knock O'Malley out. You know, I mean, the Cheeto Vera one, a bit of controversy there, but you know, like if he comes in next time and let's say faces number 16, off the top of my head, I'm not sure who that is in bantamweight division. This number 16 ranked person wants to finish Sean, you know, because it's something good for their name, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's a bit of a draw as well, isn't he? You know, like people do really like O'Malley and he's popular. So he's obviously selling pay-per-view. So you want to fight those pay-per-view fights. You want as many eyes on you as possible. So it's interesting what's next for him.
There was on the next there was Jeff Neal, the Santiago Ponzinibbio, which ended with Jeff Neal winning by decision.
Yeah, coming into this fight, I was a bit curious whether one was going to happen, just with Jeff Neal getting that DUI and having a weapon. And you think if he's that close to fight week and he's drunk, you know, he's not Paulo Costa. You can't be doing that. You know, like, you can't be getting drunk the week of your fight. So I thought, right, okay, I think he's going to come in. He's probably going to be out of shape. He's drinking, and I thought Ponzinibbio was going to finish him. But it's the complete opposite. It was quite a back and forth fight. Not overly exciting. I think the big problem was both fighters didn't really throw many combinations. It was just, I'll punch you, now you punch me. It's like, double up, you know? Don't just punch once.
Yeah, I remember you messaging me that. Yeah, it's like one of them, you know, them low budget puppet shows with the with the boxing ball. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. And to be honest, I think because, like I said, I thought this card was great. That fight, maybe just because it went to decision. No, I can't even say that because some of the best fights ever have gone to decision. But it's just of how it sort of thought out compared to all the other fights. It looked less interesting. I actually really enjoyed the fight as well. But as you had the main card, and then you had this fight in the middle, and then two title fights after, you're almost, I don't know about yourself, as a fan, I was almost looking past them, if that makes sense to say.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any one of them, but just as a fan, obviously you're there for the main event. Usually,
it kind of works. You kind of need a fight that's a bit of a break, you know, because if it's all too exciting all the way through, you know, I'll end up having a heart attack. You know, I'll be too excited. You need that sort of palate cleanser, you know. But like that was supposed to be Masvidal versus Edwards, and now that super exciting. You know, so I think I'm comparing it to that as well, like what we could have had, you know.
But I mean, we've said it before on the 268 card. Like, I know it was because of the coach Trevor Whitman, but when they had Gaethje and Chandler opening up the main card, so you had, like, I'm talking on paper, so you got like a cracking fight, and then you've got a little break. I don't want to call it a break as in it's going to be a calm fight, whatever, but you know what I mean, like with a little almost breathing space, if you will. So I kind of like that as well. It kind of splits it all up.
Yeah,
a little bit. I know there might be some sort of order or some sort of reason why they do it, but I'm quite happy with it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Because it was the same this time. O'Malley opened, didn't he? Got us excited. And to be honest, the prelims were exciting enough as it was, you know?
Christ, yeah. There was, speaking of which, the last fight on the main card that I was going to mention, Kai Kara France and Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
Cody getting welcomed to flyweight, and Kai Kara knocked him out in the first round. Now, I wasn't the biggest Kai Kara fan. I think mainly
That's
because
a
it was
mouthful,
masked.
isn't it?
You are?
That's a mouthful. Kai Kara,
Yeah.
France fan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Christ, say that when you pick. But like, I think it's masked with the fact that I'm a big Cody Garbrandt fan. But I watched this fight and I'm like, yeah, you can't. No one can say fairer than that at all for Kai Kara. I got a lot. Like, I felt for him in the post-fight interview as well. He just seems like such a nice guy, and he was, dedicating this to his, his teammate who passed away earlier this year and all this kind of stuff. He just seems like a nice chap. I know that sounds stupid in the fight, watching UFC. Like, he just seems like a nice guy, so I'm a fan of him.
Seems lovely, yeah. Sound like no.
Yeah, it's just me being a moron. Sometimes, my heartstrings get plucked sometimes.
Yeah.
It just seems like I'm 100% a fan now. I mean, not that I'm not a fan of Cody, but what do you think there? I mean, do you think Kai Kara's done enough to prove himself to get the winner of Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno to go for the flyweight championship?
Yeah, 100%. I think because these divisions are so stacked, it feels like almost anyone can jump in at any point, and he completely destroyed Cody. It shocked me how quickly he destroyed him. Because Cody came out looking much bigger. Like he looked massive compared to Kai. And I
said to someone, it's like someone had just photoshopped an image and just made Kai Kara like so much smaller.
Yeah, he's only about 5'4", isn't he? He's a small bloke. And Cody's not very big anyway, but he looked huge, and I just thought, he's more experienced. Kai's been caught circling before. I thought, right, he's going to get knocked out, and it was the complete opposite. Like, once Kai got comfortable, because he looked a bit rocky to me, he looked a bit nervous at first, because I think it's a big stage, there's a lot of people watching. Is that the highest he'd been placed in the card before? I think it is, right? I'm not sure. Is that the highest he's been placed in the card? Like a big
Kai Kara, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I think, that's there, and he looked a bit nervous. But then when he dropped him that first time, he knew. And he, literally at one point, he just pushed him up to the fence, tilted his head up, and just kept whacking him. I was like, amazing. He knew what he was doing, and the
first time he dropped him, before the end was near, it was one of the most square head-on punches. If you go back and watch it now, he catches him so clean. And I think that's where Cody maybe he looked and he's like, shit, he's got some power as well. Everyone talks about flyweights being fast, but there's some power coming in there as well. Because obviously he's come down weight after making the weigh-in. He'll put on a bit of timber again. I know it's only a day, but he can do.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, well done to Kai Kara, and I hope he, the sky's the limit. But I'm wondering what's next for Cody, to be honest. Do you think he sticks at flyweight and potentially could lose again? But I mean, flyweight, they could give him someone. I can't really name it. I don't really want to name a name because does this make sense to say, like, Sean O'Malley said, like, he's won one fight since 2016 or something, whatever it was.
Yes, 2017.
You look at it, 2017. You look at his title run when he dominated Cruz that time to actually win the belt. That was like a flawless performance. And then obviously, there was like TJ twice. Rob Font beat him earlier this year. There was someone else. Sorry, who was it? Pedro Munoz. He knocked Cody out.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was Assunção who Cody knocked out, but that was his one and only. That was a clean shot. But you think, are we kind of clutching onto Cody when he was a champion? Or am I, should I say, because I'm a fan of him?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he is a good fighter. You don't become champion, for not being good. And he beat Dominic Cruz as well. Like, Dominic Cruz is not a mess about. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the division's for him. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it's like to cut weight. I barely know how to lose weight, never mind cut weight. You know, I'm not. I feel like it takes too much out of him. You know, like it's a lot, isn't it? You know, you're not drinking, you're not eating. You know, and he's got to do it. It's almost a day, right? They do it all night, and it's a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
He's got to come even lower than before. I just wonder. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, I feel groggy after a rough night anyway. Do you know what I mean? I can't fight someone. Just wonder, does it take too much out of him? You know. So I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he has to give up because he's lost once in that division. You know, maybe tries to else, but I think he's going to fight
No,
O'Malley next. I think that's his next
Oh,
fight.
Marley, yeah. Well, one of my friends, that's his dream fight. I mean, with the performances, I would. I don't want to get into that debate at the minute, like, but I think O'Malley could really make a mess of Cody in that.
Yeah, and then it
But
answers the question, doesn't it? What's Sean like fighting a ranked fighter? But the trouble is, you know, Cody's lost so much recently. Does he still have that name to him? Does he still have that? He doesn't prove anything, does he? You know, if Sean beats him.
well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's I don't really want to use people that much as an example, but there's people in the say the light heavyweight division where 10, 12 years ago their name would be a household name, and now they're on like the undercard of a fight night, and you're like, you don't want Cody to stick around just scraping wins and get to that level where you're like, yeah, but you wanted to see him when he won the belt. It was very short lived, but you know, like you kind of don't want someone just to be clutching onto that.
Yeah.
You know, just because of who they were, if that makes sense. No disrespect to Cody, because I
Yeah.
still really like him. I really rate him. I think he's
Yeah, he's an
really
excellent
good.
fighter, really good.
But
That's the thing.
then,
He's fighting killers as well, isn't he? You know, he's not. It's not like he's fighting nobody.
yeah,
He's fighting all big fighters. You know, so I think, you know, it's fair enough.
a lot of people are very quick to, you know, when people, you know, when someone gets knocked out once and people are very quick to just call them out, say, retire now, it's fine. You're like, fucking hell, there'd be no fighters left in UFC if that were the case.
Yeah, I think they see
But,
these undefeated fighters like Khabib and stuff, and they think, you know, oh, fighters should lose. All fighters lose. Almost all of them do. You know, if you put yourself out there enough, you're gonna lose. It's just what happens. You know?
so onto the heavyweights. Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa, and Tai got it done. Tai got the knockout.
Yeah,
What did you think of this fight?
it was great. Honestly, I think Ty's sort of, because with his last fight, I mean, I can't pretend like I was like the biggest Ty fan and I knew all about him because, you know, but when his last fight, he just kind of looked like a stand and bang guy. You know, I thought, all right, because he got rocked and then he just got a quick 1-2 and knocked out. Was it Greg Hardy? Is that his name?
Yeah, Greg Hardy, yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't know what to expect from him. I just thought it was going to be another, you know, out of shape, big heavyweight who's just going to come out swinging. But he did really well. You know, you don't really see these heavyweights doing switches, combinations. He really knew. He looked like a very clinical striker. He knew what he was doing. It wasn't, you know. And then he got him up against the fence. He knew what he was doing. He shocked me actually. I was like, oh, you're a much better fighter than I thought you were. You know, I thought you were just a big fat guy who drank beer and got, you know, and just knocked people out. You know, like myself. You know.
Or knocking people out on the weekend, do you, Dwayne?
Knock back a few beers. That's about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I mean, look, the guy's impossible to hate, isn't he? Everyone loves the guy. But I expected to see more leg kicks from him because it seemed to be quite. If you go back and watch his previous fights, last year I only fought Stefan Struve. That was his like sort of comeback fight, if you will, and he got the win in round one again. Got the win in round one again earlier this year. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was heavy with the leg kicks. And then if you go watch the Greg Hardy fight as well, he threw a couple in that as well, and he can kick. I thought he'd have done that at first to wear out Sakai because he's a big fella himself, but there wasn't as many as what I thought. But Tai, that kind of fighter, because even he admits, I'll just stand and bang with anyone. I'll bang on with anyone, as he says. But whenever he throws something with intent, you know that it could be over. It could be done. Like, it's never going to be the most technical fight that you've ever seen in your life, but sometimes, you're more than happy with that. I am anyway. I think it's great. It's great to have him in the division.
But it was technical. That was what surprised me. He was a technical fighter. He didn't just stand and bang. He was pushing up against the fence. He was getting in the pocket. He really knew what he was doing. And when he started switching stances up like that and getting a left hook in the middle of a switch, that's high level striking. It's really impressive. Really
Yeah, I mean, Ty, it did. Was it the second round that he got it? Second?
Yeah. Second round knockout. Yeah.
Because he caught Sakai with a hook in the first round, and that's one of them where every time you watch, you're kind of gripped because it could just end whenever. And I was kind of hooked on that. Maybe just because I'm a Tuivasa fan. I follow him, but as in, he was on the main card last time. Now he's still on the prelims. I think that's just a reflection of how stacked this card actually was. But Ty, he's one of them. Like when he was saying in the post-fight interview, he's going to be ranked after this probably on Monday.
What, he's probably going to be 11th or 10th, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something like that. But you think it's so good to have in the division because people now, he's nowhere near a title shot, but people know his name. They know who he is. Probably just because of the shoes, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But I think in the heavyweight division, I think almost all of them are very close to a title shot at any point. Like Cyril Gane and Derek Lewis. I wasn't really expecting them to be fighting for the interim belt. I didn't expect that to happen at all. I feel like any of them can almost jump at any point. Maybe put Ty versus Aspin, then get them to fight. The winner of.
Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, Aspinall, not Tom Aspin. Just put Aspinall.
That'd be a heartbreak to me. No matter who'd win that. That would be tense. That'd be arse going 5p, 50p. That'd be wouldn't fancy that one. But after that, then we're going on to your boy, Dominic Cruz v Pedro Munoz.
Well, it was scary, Dominic got the decision, obviously. It was really good, really well fought fight because, Pedro Munoz came out and he dropped Dominic in the first round. Dropped him, and I thought, oh, Dominic's got caught here. He's going to lose because when you get knocked out, you just sort of seem you're at a massive risk, aren't you? Even if you get back up, you're very vulnerable. You're in this vulnerable state. And Dominic said in his post-fight interview, he doesn't even remember it. He said all he remembers is getting whacked. But he thought he tripped. He didn't even remember getting punched in the head. All he remembers is going to the floor, and then he's on top of Pedro. That's it. So he didn't even remember that moment. So he was clearly out. He don't remember it. So very dangerous.
It's a really, really good fight back and forth. Both at the moments. It goes to show, like Cruz can still go. I thought it was really impressive, especially because Cruz like 36. I'm not saying he's nowhere near done or anything like that, but sometimes the older that someone gets, you can see little things happening, or they might get a little bit slower. But something that always makes me laugh with Dominic Cruz, he's kind of got that stance where it's a bit like, imagine the later rounds for Max Holloway, where his arms just kind of fall down like this, and he can sort of wide hook. So he sort of stands there. I always think Dominic Cruz looks like C3PO having a fight because his arms are just sort of out like this, and he's just going to kind of swing round. I mean, who am I to compare Dominic Cruz to a fucking Star Wars character? But you know what I mean? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like fighting someone who's got both shoulders dislocated.
Yeah.
It looks like that anyway.
And to be honest, the first round, you really think he's going to lose. But in the second and third, he barely got touched. He knew exactly what he was doing. He stuck to it. He got his game plan and he stuck to it. And he did really, really well. But it's what happens next. Who does he fight next? Does he fight for the title? Probably not. You know, does he fight Sandhagen? Does he fight I forgot his name, Dillashaw? Oh, I'd love to see him fight is Aldo. That'd be amazing. Dominic versus Aldo.
Yeah, that would be good.
Just two legends
But
going at.
See, like there was a couple. Yeah, I think I prefer that over a TJ fight with Aldo or Dominic. I prefer to see Dominic v Aldo.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't get into what we think would happen in that situation just now, but yeah, I thought Dominic put on a great performance in that. It can definitely still go. It's very quick. I was curious to see if there was any comments that DC would make during the fight, just to be a wind up, but you know, it didn't appear that there was.
Yeah, he behaved.
Yeah, I think so. He actually watched some tape. Yeah, but yeah, that was you know, one of the fights that we was going to talk about. We covered the full main card and then a couple of prelims. But yeah, I thought really good pay-per-view, really good event, great way to close out the year.